Hi folks, my name is Danny. Welcome to Danny's Corner. Today I'm exploring a post that was made on a website talking about Braille and how this is the devil's secret language. I'm not making this up. As with my previous videos that I've made about this, I'm going to post the link so you can read the article for yourselves and judge for yourselves, as that's what I try to do with these videos. I'm just trying to bring awareness and to say that not only secular society believes that we are evil's big or society biggest threat, but those who call themselves Christians or so-called Christians believe the same thing. And if we continue to allow this, there's no stopping this. Ignorance will prevail, and this is not what we want as a society. Um, so anyway, I left last on my last video saying that supposedly, according to this person that wrote the post, that blind people, when they become blind or born blind, they're susceptible to demon possession. Again, there is no source for this whatsoever. Furthermore, he states that he has no doubt that the French person that invented Braille was demon possessed, and some other inaccuracies when it comes to demons. I'm going to try to edit this video or pause it. Hopefully the video doesn't stop midway, as there's a lot to go through, and I do want to, again, take my time to analyze this article and tell you the truth about, what this guy is saying and what are simply nonsense or nonsensical statements. And always know that whenever you hear something or whenever you read something, it is my belief that you're always going to find some truth and some lies to what somebody's saying. Not all the time, but in a lot of cases, there's going to be some truth and some lies, or if you want to put it another way, some truths and some misconceptions about certain topics. And therefore, I strongly urge you to research whatever you can in depth. Try to read on a subject as best as you can, so you don't come out as an ignorant person when you make comments, which, as I have said before, can and will hurt people. And so, with that said, let's move on to the next point. Okay, so now what we are going to do is do a little bit of math here. And again, I also want to point out that a lot of the things that you're going to hear on this section are nothing but speculations on this person's, the way this person thinks. It's just speculation. And as you're going to be able to hear, one thing there's no correlation between what he's saying and the number 666. Yes, there is some sort of conspiracy theory here. I'm going to read a little bit of the article, which I've read before, just a section. And it says this: in Braille, character or cell are arranged in a rectangle containing 6 dots arranged into 2 columns. A dot can be maybe raised in any of the 6 positions to form 64 permutations. And then he says to be careful with the numbers here. And he says 64 permutations, 2 rows, 6 dots, 64 plus 2 equals 6. Add the other 6 equals 666. I know I went a bit too fast there, but when I read at a regular speed, my screen reader is pretty fast. So um, let me say something about this. Okay, number one, this 666 number thing, it wasn't talking, when the Bible mentions 666, is not talking about this braille. Okay, it has nothing to do with this invention that came later on. I don't know where people get this from. And his math is wrong, by the way. Yep, 64 plus 2 equals 66. But 66 plus 6, unless my teacher was wrong, 66 plus 6 equals 72. There's no way that 66 plus 6 can be 666. And again, a lot of people also place a lot of value in the numerical arrangements of things, and they try to look for hidden codes or hidden messages where there aren't any. And this is where this author is trying to get to, that somehow Braille, there's a secret code or there's a secret message that they're trying, that the devil himself is trying blind people. The devil is trying to communicate with blind people through this secret language, which is Braille. This is utter nonsense. If you were to read John 9, for example, for those of you who follow the Bible and Christ himself says that the reason why blind people are born like that is to exalt him, is to manifest his glory, his works. Therefore, Jesus himself contradicts this person who is writing this post. Just wanted to throw that in there. It's amazing how something so good that has benefited a lot of people can be turned into something sinister, can be turned into something evil when it's isn't supposed to be like that. As I said, before Braille, there were other forms of reading and or writing for people who were blind. They were not perfect. These methods were not perfect, but at least they had some way to get by. But Braille did become a tool which was revolutionary in its time, and that's what counts. And now it's being used by the entire blind population. There are those of us who are not able to read it, but again, I'm not going to trash it just because I don't understand it, just because I can't read it, right? I feel that this people that think like this is a kind of it's another it's another group within a larger group. You know that I made a video some time ago. Should English be the official language of the United States. I will post that as well if I can find it, because some people have a problem when people speak a language in the United States other than English. And I find that, again, these two groups are linked with one another. And again, this is not an isolated group that talk bad about blind people. There have been people who are, quote, preachers who have said from the pulpit that blind people or people with disabilities in general should not be preachers and should not be in any way associated with carrying out the Lord's work, that they could simply sit and listen to it. And I have personally talked to people who have told me that because of their blindness, they have not been able to carry out certain duties that they might wanted to do within the church. And again, I repeat what I've said before. This is nothing but closed-minded people, and they should be rebuked. They should be spoken to in a stern manner, so we stop having once and for all these prejudice attitudes. Okay, this guy goes on to say that Braille is read, using your left hand, and is written, and it's used by running your fingers through the dots, or over the dots, Okay, as I have probably said before, the left hand, it is used by some people, but doesn't mean that it's being used by all people who are Braille readers. A lot of them read with their right hand. And again, this is just another way of somehow this whole idea that the left hand is bad. And this goes, this doesn't only, is within church itself. The left hand, if you read history, the left hand has been considered evil by many people, even longer than Christianity. And there are books written about this. And so the fact that this guy will take this idea and somehow put it into his strange conspiracy theory or whatever he has going on in his mind is weird. And again, it affects so many people. It harms so many people. And unfortunately, and I have said before, a lot of people are already afraid of Christianity, or they think bad about Christianity. And so when you have folks like these, as well as folks like Darwin, who was an atheist and said his fair share of things that were inaccurate about blind people, whenever you hear these people, regardless if they're Christians and are atheists, what it does, it makes you even more afraid of blind people. Or in general, it makes you afraid of something that you don't know nothing about. Take, for example, back in 2001, 2002, and 2003, it's about 2-3 year span, from 2001 to 2004, perhaps more. I remember this whole thing of freedom fries, how we wanted to disassociate from the French because they were against the war, and how at that time President George W. Bush said, either you're with us or against us, or something to that, something that wanted to say something along those lines. And eventually, time proved each and every one of us who was against that war right, that this was not something that should have been fought, that we lost a lot of lives needlessly. This was not the way to handle um, the war at that time, and I still stand by it. Um, Again, this is just to point out when people make statements like these, they turn out to hurt other people because just because we are against something does not necessarily mean that we are for the other side. And in this case, when it comes to blindness, it seems to be running that same in that same vein, if you will, where ignorance is is winning against sound judgment, and it's sad. It's truly sad what's happening. Okay, this guy goes on to call us blind retards. I've made a video about this word and how it's still being used, even when referring to outside of the community who has developmental disabilities. It's being used a lot, and it's again, I want to repeat myself. It's hurting a lot of people, and unfortunately, um, it's this kind of language, it's this type of attitude that is still with us today. And that, in spite of how many laws are created to make sure that we have a peaceful life, a life that is accessible, in a world that's accessible, we are still going to have these attitudes. And you can pass as many laws as you can protecting the lives of those who have disabilities. You can pass as many laws as you want protecting the rights of any group whatsoever. But that it's not going to matter. It's going to make a very, it's not going to, there's not going to be a difference whatsoever. Or if there is, it's going to be very little. Because what matters is to change the attitudes of people regarding blindness in this case, and how we think about it. And certainly, laws were not made to force us to think one way or the other. Laws were made for us to obey them. And if we don't, we get punished. And in a sense, that's kind of forcing people to believe the way you do, or to force someone to do things the way you want them done. And as I probably stated before, and if not, I'll say it right here, there really shouldn't be any laws to tell us, for example, fasten your seatbelt, um, don't don't cross whenever you're not supposed to, don't run a red light, um, don't hit your children, um, don't do, I don't know, don't spit at a police officer, things like that. It should be common sense. And unfortunately, a lot of these laws were put into the books because some people just don't understand what they're supposed to do and what they're not supposed to do. And in this case, for example, um, although there are many laws protecting uh, blind people and people with disabilities from being discriminated or whatnot, we're still going to have this attitude. And I think that before we implement a law or a set of laws, what we should be doing as a society, as a whole, no matter if you're an atheist, agnostic, believer, or I don't know, whatever you may think, the message should be changed. We should have more blind people employed in different companies. We should be able to see more blind people in the workforce, doing a lot of the things that they are capable of doing. And obviously, and able to do this, we need education. We need better resources. We need to educate people. And this is what I do on my YouTube channels, both on this one and my Spanish channel. I do this by educating medical students. And I've done this for 5 years. And I do it in other ways with my conversations that I have with cab drivers, with my providers, with other friends that I have that I speak to, is to create awareness. And this is what should be done in a more grander scale, if you will. And only after that, after we've seen some significant progress, is when we can start creating these laws. But I believe that here in the United States, what we have done is done things backwards. We put down these laws. We expect people to abide by them, but we know that they're not going to do them. And so anyway, I will make a 4th video talking about these things. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you to those new subscribers. And stay tuned for the next video. And I'm dissecting this and, again, weeding out the bad things and the good things. Unfortunately, this post is riddled with a lot of misinformation, a lot of things that are not true. And I urge you to, again, just search for yourself. Don't take anybody's word as if it was gospel. Always research. And when you make a comment, make sure to give constructive criticism and not put down the other person. Thank you very much. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to share. Make sure to like this video and others. Not because the content of this video is good or anything like that. Obviously, the content, what I'm saying, especially the form. Let me backtrack. With this video, the post that this video is based on is not good whatsoever. Okay, but the information that I'm giving you hopefully will be good to those of you who are either new to blindness, who want to know more about blindness, who might have these same misconceptions, and if you are liking this content, if somehow you're being enlightened, share this content, like this content, so others who may have a blind member in their family who may be blind or may become blind can see this video and know that there is a way out, that blindness is not what they have led you to believe. It has its drawbacks. It does have there have been some challenging times when I have had to struggle with, the concept of what am I doing here? But overall, blindness can be an experience that can be a rewarding one. But anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. I'll catch you next time.